Alright, people. Let's talk about the new Shinobi Striker gameplay. And I made a list. Alright, I made a list of the things I liked, the things I didn't like. And for some of you guys had a lot to say. You guys had a lot to, put in terms of feedback. And I really did like that. I like that a lot of people kind of came through in the comment section of multiple videos. Because I know my homie PS360, Chicas Clouds, Kabuki Sage uploaded the gameplay, and I actually did hover over a lot of comments and I read most of them. And a lot of people have a few things to say, while some people are actually very optimistic about how the game's gonna turn out, which is pretty dope. Now here's the thing. The people that don't see this game as having potential, I understand, dude. The game doesn't really look appealing. It doesn't look like, when we're looking at graphics wise, it just doesn't really look like a game that you would buy in 2017. I understand that. One of the big things that the developers made that I feel is a mistake on their part is that they went with an art style that's not necessarily suited for the graphic style of nowadays. Like, they're using the Unreal Engine 4, okay? And this game, I will admit, it doesn't look like a game that's made with the Unreal Engine, because the Unreal Engine looks really, really pretty. Like, if you guys look at Dragon Ball FighterZ, it runs on the same exact engine and it looks a lot better. Now, here's the thing though. I personally am not a graphics guy. I would rather prefer you give me constant FPS over any kind of graphics. I am hoping that this game is super fun, so I'm not really worried about how the graphics look too much, alright? Because I feel like it's alright. It's not bad, it's not completely bad, it's just alright, okay? So, we're gonna move into the pros, then move into the cons, okay? One of the first pros, you guys might find trivial. You guys might find to be a little bit unnecessary, but I'm gonna say it anyways. First thing I noticed, as soon as I saw the gameplay, was the HUD. I was a little scared that the HUD was gonna be trash and cover most of the screen and shit. Like, if you guys have ever seen some Final Fantasy Dissidia gameplay, god damn, dude, that game covers about 75% of the screen. You can barely fucking see what you're doing, and it just completely turned me off from the game, period. So, just in general, it made me appreciate HUDs a lot more in games after I saw gameplay from Final Fantasy Dissidia. That's the only reason why I'm putting it on here as a pro, okay? Now, for cooldown on jutsus, okay? There's cooldown on jutsus for this game, which I can appreciate. A lot of you guys have an issue with people spamming jutsus on other Storm games, like, other Naruto games, I apologize. But because most of the last games were Storm games, I guess that slipped out a little bit. But, a lot of you guys had an issue with people spamming jutsus and just in general making the game not super fun to play because of that. Now there's a solution to that. They made it so the game can kind of regulate itself, meaning that because there's cooldowns, you're automatically restricted to doing jutsu a certain amount of time or something. So overall, I like the cooldowns on jutsus because it actually adds a little bit of regulation just to the gameplay in general, right? You can't just do the same shit over and over again. But anyways, moving into the other thing, the other pro, okay? Substitution in general. The substitution jutsu is pretty nice. Now, what they did with the substitution jutsu in this game was that if you get hit and do a substitution jutsu, you get that health back from when you got hit right before you did the jutsu. I like that a lot, okay? Because they're keeping it true to how it is in the show, where whatever you get hit by, it basically just cancels itself out because you did a substitution jutsu. And I really enjoyed seeing that, simply because I don't think I've seen it being done in any other Naruto game. Like, in other Naruto games, it was just like okay, you can disappear to behind your enemy and get an opening or whatever. But I never really saw it bring your health back. So just that in general kind of won me over a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. The last thing I have on my list of pros, okay, is the maneuvering. The way you move around the map is very solid. The way you do the wall climb is fucking flawless, to be honest. Like, they actually had a little part in the gameplay where they kept going up and down a wall into the ground, right? They kept going from the ground to the wall, to the wall, to the ground, and it was fluid. Like, there wasn't any kind of interchange while they were doing it, or any kind of transition. It was just literally, they walk as if they were walking on a stairwell or something. It was very nice. But not only that, but the characters also have this, like, thing where they can throw a kunai, let's say at a wall that's in front of them or a tree, and they can pull themselves into that tree and then walk on it. It's pretty nice. I really like that. By far, the best part, one of the best things in this gameplay was that. It was just seeing how fluid it is. And the first thing I started thinking about when I saw that was how amazing that shit's gonna look when you do things like capture the flag, where you actually have to constantly move from one end of the map to another, get a flag and go to another side of the map. I like that a lot, okay? And for those of you guys that didn't know, one of the biggest game modes that I'm expecting, that I'm really hopeful for is capture the flag, because it seems like it's going to be super hectic in a good way, super chaotic. It's going to be a lot of, maneuvering. There's going to be a lot of fighting. So I really do enjoy that. Okay, so we're going to move into the cons of this. And there's just as many cons. I make sure to list just as many cons as there are pros, because I want to keep it balanced. And in general, it just turned out that way, to be honest. It really just turned out that way. Now, for the first thing is the fodder ninja. The fodder ninja play like no part in this game. It literally looks like they're there just to kind of give you padding to the game. Like, okay, before you do a boss fight, you have to fight like 10 fodder ninjas or some shit. I don't understand why they did that, because if anything, it made me realize that the gameplay, the actual combat is a little like stiff. And which that is one of the other cons, and I wanted to transition into that. The combat is just, there's like two combos. One is in midair, the other one's on the ground. Okay, the combat just doesn't look pleasing at all. You do like a few hits, and then you can do like a jutsu if you wanted to. You can do something cool like that, but there's not a lot of variety that you can really do. You can't really cancel into something that's a lot better and bigger. All you can really do is a few hits, a jutsu, or just do the whole combo. I don't like that. Like, in general, it seems like there's only two combos, and it's kind of disappointing, Just give it more of a feel, give it more, I don't know, man, just make it more dynamic. It just doesn't seem like it's fun at all to do. It almost seems like a hack and slash game or a beat 'em up game where you constantly just have to do the same combo over and over again and keep doing damage to the enemies like that. It's just boring. But anyways, the next thing is boss fights, okay? Boss fights are kind of like the same part of what I was talking about with the combat, and I'll tell you guys why. The boss fight that we saw in this live stream, the two boss fights, it was like Gamabunta and the Wantails. Here's the thing. These motherfuckers look like bullet sponges, okay? And when I say bullet sponges, I mean damage sponges. Like, you can really do a shit ton of hits and not do much damage, okay? And they're just there. They're just standing there. I mean, they do a few things to defend themselves, but they really don't do much besides just sit there and take as many hits as possible. That shit did not look fun whatsoever. I have a suggestion that could possibly make the boss battles a little bit more fun to do, a little more enjoyable. Shit, man, make it more dynamic. Give the boss fights some kind of dynamic setting, okay? Make it to where instead of you fighting the Wantail off the bat, you gotta fight Gaara first. And then after you fight Gaara, he transforms into, half Shukaku mode Gaara. And then he goes into the Wantail. And then every time you do a certain amount of damage, they transform into this newer form where like a new pattern, okay? And then every time they have this new pattern, you gotta figure out a different way to apply damage to that boss. That would be a lot more fun to do in general, because of the fact that in this gameplay that we saw, holy shit, man. Literally, Shukaku does this thing where it's like a shield, where he surrounds himself around like a lot of fucking sand, and you can't really hurt him. But that's it. Other than that, dude, you can just wail on the motherfucker and do damage to him until he's dead. And because of the fact that there's only like two combos to do, it gets boring really fucking quickly because you're doing the same two combos. The one in midair and the one on the ground. So like I said, I'm really hoping that they change that. Even if you can add just one more combo and then make it a little bit better to basically do and not so stiff. Hey man, you got yourself some better combat right off the bat. Okay? Now, if they do add phases to a boss fight, that alone would make it a little just more bearable in general, dude, because at some point in time, you do enough damage to the Wantail and he gets dizzy and you can do more damage on him. But the way you do more damage on him is just so boring and tedious that it almost just falls flat on his face. Okay, it's just not that fun. At least the way I saw it. The one thing I gotta say though, I'm not looking forward to this game mode at all. The one game mode that I'm really looking forward to is simply the domination looking one and the capture the flag. Capture flag being the #1 priority for me. Okay. The last con that I have listed on here is the faces in general not having any kind of expression. Alright, I don't know if it's because the game is still early in development or only halfway done. I don't fucking know. The faces have no kind of expression to them. Naruto is always wide open, like his eyes are wide open 100% of the time. The man doesn't blink. The man doesn't really have any kind of expression shown in his face. It looks very, very weird, alright? It looks very, very stiff. And you guys have actually maybe noticed that I've been using that word a lot throughout this video. And that's because a lot of the things that are wrong with this game is that it is kind of stiff in a lot of areas, okay? Now, for the faces, I don't think it's too big of an issue simply because I can easily see them adding animations to the faces and all that, making it a little bit bearable, making that a little bit more like Naruto, because I've never seen Naruto just be fucking dead. Like, he literally looks like he's just dead, alright? He just has his eyes wide open, like he has no emotion and shit. He's just dead inside. And I don't know, man, it kind of throws you off a little bit. It's not like you're gonna be zooming in on the motherfucker's face every time you play the game or anything, but it just adds a little bit of oomph to the actual gameplay and the aesthetic of it. Even if the graphics aren't all that great, you can at least work on the little things like the animations and whatnot. Alright? Now, with that being said, that's it. That's the whole list. Let me know specifically what you guys think of the gameplay that you saw from Shinobi Striker. Obviously, I'm not gonna upload the gameplay on here because, you know, most of the people that I know uploaded it, so you can get your info from them. You can get the gameplay from them if you want to watch it. But overall, I have a little bit of concern for the game, while at the same time, I'm a little bit optimistic about them being able to turn this around. All the issues I listed, them being able to turn it around a little bit. Of course, the game being an online kind of game, if some of these game modes are a dud on release, the game's not gonna last very long. It's gonna die really, really quickly, and I don't want that. I don't want that. You know, like the past games, which were the Storm games, got no kind of support from the developers, and whenever there was an issue, they didn't fix it, and that's what led a lot of people to not even want to deal with CyberConnect 2 anymore. So I hope that these developers at least know how to, in general, apply some common support to the game, be able to take in, you know, consumer feedback, and improve the game in whatever way they can. Alright? Anyways, guys, I'm out. Peace.